With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to That Will Never Work podcast, here on Women Empowerment Wednesdays. Today's featured guest is a newly licensed cosmetologist, hair supplier, wig stylist, most importantly, my little cousin Ryan Gaymon of RSG Hair LLC. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you for doing this interview with me today.
Absolutely.
So, I have a few questions before we get into RSG hair. Okay. So from the little cousin I remember, who was the tomboy and was always running and playing and everything, what made you even focus on the hair industry?
Well, once I got out of that tomboy phase, I guess you could say, middle school, early high school age range, I kind of started to transition from that rough little tomboy into my girly girl. I started to learn myself as a young lady, and I started to see people that I admire wear pretty hair, pretty outfit, and their makeup look flawless, movie stars or singers, whoever, and I admired the way that they look, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty decent looking.
Right.
I can look this way. Mm-hmm. And as you know, my mom always kept my hair tight, tomboy and all.
She did.
So it probably originated there, just from her keeping my hairstyles diverse, giving me different looks every week, to being a flyest girl in school with the newest hairstyle. My cousin Kira, she used to do my hair back in the day, and she was an inspiring cosmetologist back then, and she used to just give me all the flyest looks, the twisty ponytails, braids. So I took a keen interest in wanting to mimic those looks myself, and I saw how I felt good, how she made her clients feel good. So I was like, I want to be able to do that one day. Right. And as we all know, as females, when your hair look good, you feel good.
Yes, you do.
And we are all living proof of that. So I took a keen interest in wanting to do, that therapy work, as you can say, as a cosmetologist. Because when you in your stylist chair, she is your therapist.
Yes,
so you can just lay it all on her. She can deep condition and shampoo and scrub all your worries away. And then by the time you get out your chair, boom, you flawless. You ready. You hit the runway. So
awesome.
That's probably where it stemmed from, but yeah, it's a passion of mine for sure.
So, when it was time to go to school and transition from high school onto cosmetology school, that's been a bumpy road for you.
Yes, it has. I actually have an interesting story. Straight out of high school, I didn't go right to cosmetology school. I took up a trade, and I'm actually working in that trade. So I went to school for certified medical billing and coding. And it's not necessarily what I wanted to do, but it was a more stable future for me to have, just in case cosmetology didn't work. My mom kind of pushed me to always have more than one trade underneath your belt. So I can always go to school for cosmetology. I can always go to school and learn how to do hair, but if that doesn't work out, how am I pay the bills? So I went to school, I took up a trade, graduated, started working in the field. And that's kind of how I got into the corporate world. Once you get into that corporate life and that money come every 2 weeks and your checks is steady and you know what you expected, you can get very comfortable, you know? Right. You know what to expect. There's no surprises. You got PTO time, you got paid holidays, you got all this good stuff that they're advertising. So I kind of, stayed in that field for a while. Still wanting to do hair and show my love and my passion for the industry, I did enroll in cosmetology school back in 2008, and I went to Empire Beauty School at the time. And I was just all in it. I was excited. I was learning new things. I was meeting new friends. I was still young at the time. I was in my early 20s, and life happens. My corporate job that I was working at the time, I got laid off. I couldn't afford to pay my tuition in school anymore because I really didn't qualify for all the Pell grants and everything because my salary was so high. So I was paying out of pocket partially for school. Well, once I got laid off, life took a turn for the worse. I dropped out of school. I started working little side jobs, and then I went to some agencies just trying to make ends meet with the bills. When I finally did decide to go back to cosmetology school, it's like I blinked my eyes and 10 years went by.
Wow.
And that's that corporate life. It got good to me. I ended up getting my degree, getting promotions, and I just got sucked in. I was like, well, maybe this is just what I'm supposed to do. But that love and that passion for the beauty industry, it never left. I was always doing hair on the side, out of my kitchen, in the basement. And even to this day, we're hosting this interview now in my home salon. So it's like I always had a love for hair and beauty and fashion. So I went back to school. 10 years later, I enrolled in the Beauty Institute by Schwarzkopf, and I pushed myself, and I was determined, and it was not easy. I'm not gonna lie. I hated waking up sometimes to get up to go to work and then go to school, having 14-hour days. I hated having to be somewhere Monday through Friday after work. I want to relax and go home or hang out with my friends or go to happy hour. But it's a sacrifice that you have to make to get to where you want to be. And I'll probably say about 14 months later, I finally graduated. And such a weight was lifted off of me because I finished something that I started. I've always felt like I'm paying all this money in student loans and I don't have nothing to show for it. So that was the main reason I went back, because I'm like, I'm going to make this work. I'm in a better place in life. I have financial stability now, and I have a home. I'm able to create my space for, what I want to do in the hair industry, whether that be do hair or make wigs or do makeup or just have a side hustle. So when I graduated in September of 2019, I went and I took my cosmetology exam to get my license. I recently became the newest licensed cosmetologist.
Yes.
And it's a good feeling, and I finally feel like I checked off a major box in my life, off my bucket list. And now it's like, what's next? So with that being said, I'm trying to venture into the industry and make a name for myself and build my brand and, get people to know who I am, what I can offer, and build my clientele.
Awesome. So before we even get into that, you mentioned before that you received your degree. What was that degree in?
So I have an associate's in business, and I went to Strayer University to obtain that associate's. I did that while I was working at my full-time corporate job. And I went into business because, one, you can use a business degree anywhere.
Right.
So I figured that I'm either going to use this degree to help me with my future business within the hair industry, because I always wanted to own a salon, or I'm going to use this business degree in the field that I'm currently working in. Either way, it's going to work for me and it's going to increase my income.
So either way, you basically said one way or the other, this is going to work for me.
That's right. I was going to make it work one way or another.
Definitely. So now, getting into RSG hair, how was that process for you?
Whew. Okay, so there is no book on how to start a business that's going to cover everything. I mean, you can watch a million seminars, you can read articles, you can look at people's YouTube stories, but it is no book that's going to cover every little thing. RSG Hair came about because I wanted to not only offer a service to my clients by making wigs, but I also wanted to be a one-stop shop where they can purchase their hair from me and get their wigs made. So instead of sending my clients to the hair store, to the Asians, where they're making them all the money and charging whatever they want for these extensions, and then I'm just getting the piece of it by making the custom unit or doing a sew-in or whatever, why not be a one-stop shop? So I did some research, and the hair business is a booming billion-dollar business. Right. And I see people making profit off of it left and right, so why not me? So I did some research. I studied up on drop shipping. I did some research over the years just on different brands and textures and different vendors and different price lists and testing hair, buying hair and wearing it myself, or just bleaching it and coloring it just to see how the color take. And it's very expensive. I probably spent over $10,000 alone just in testing hair. And this is over the course of several years. When I first started doing this, I had a different business called Units by Rai Rai. And with Units by Rai Rai, that was just strictly for me to make wigs. So I transitioned from that into RSG Hair, where RSG Hair is now a legitimate LLC business. And it stands for me. It represents my name, Ryan S. Gaymon. And when I started it, I went full-fledged. I said, it's either all or nothing, you know? So it's like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right this time. I done tried to do things in the past, it didn't work, or I didn't put enough effort into it, or I didn't brand it enough, or promote it enough, and nobody knew about me. So this go around, I said I'm going to put my all into it so I don't have no questions left on the table. And with the research with the hair, I started looking at my favorite brands and checking their prices and making sure I'm staying competitive in the industry with everybody else. And I started looking at different people promote their brands and their products on social media. And I just try to create my own twist on things. So I do my own photography for my products. I do my own product descriptions, and I did have some help with my website because I don't know anything about creating a website. But I'm a one-woman show. I have to do everything, from the marketing, from the branding, from the product descriptions, and from the posting on social media and doing YouTube videos and creating my own business cards and my own flyers, and it can be very, very overwhelming. And when you don't know what you're doing and it's not really nobody out there to teach you or hold your hand step by step, you're going to make mistakes. So it's definitely a learning process. You will have highs and lows throughout the process, and I've been learning it. But now that I've made some mistakes and I'm seeing a better way of doing things, I'm making sure that I thoroughly research before I move on to just jumping out there and doing, the next thing. Like, oh, I'm just going to do this because she did it. Well, she probably know 10 people who helped her, and it's just me over here struggling. So with that being said, I just try to do my research and just take it day by day and just ask for help. If you see somebody that's doing something that you want to do, ask for help. The worst they can say is no. And more than likely, it's more people out here willing to help you than not.
That's true. So when you had your first line, basically Units by Rai Rai, what did you think was going to happen when you started?
You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to post my wig and everybody in the world was going to buy it. No, that's not how it went. Units by Rai Rai, that was just, I'm not even gonna discredit it because I was really into it as well. It just didn't pick off the way that I expected it to because I didn't thoroughly research. I just saw people making wigs. I knew how to make a wig, and I knew how to sell wigs. My wigs were good enough to be sold. People came to me. I have different clients sporting my wigs, but it didn't take off the way that I thought it would because, number one, I didn't research on how to properly market myself. I didn't research how to generate a clientele base for wigs specifically. I just created a an Instagram page and a Facebook page, posted some pictures, set a price, and thought I was going to blow up.
Right.
made some business cards, put my logo on a few things, and I was sitting back waiting for my money to scroll in. That did not happen. I'm still broke. So, but units by Rai, it was just a nickname that my family uses for me, Rai. So, and then it's custom made units, and it wasn't even really passion behind the name of it to even begin with. So, although it did teach me a lot when creating wigs and making wigs and doing different things, it's just the passion wasn't there like how it is for our year.
Is that because you going back to school again? And
Absolutely.
That maturity came.
The maturity had a big play in it, for sure. I'm older now. I'm in my 30s. It's not a game anymore. Like, I'm serious. I'm about my business. Versus before, when I first started Units by Rai, I was still in my early 20s. I was still trying to party on the side and do hair and make wigs and still promote, and it just wasn't working because my focus wasn't all the way there. Versus now, I went back to school. I paid attention to my schooling and my teachings. I asked a buku amount of questions. I didn't care how people felt about the questions I asked. I asked any and everything that I wanted to try to get the knowledge that I needed to get to where I wanted to be. And between those two things, it developed a stronger brand for our year. Just having the knowledge, just having the support, just go around, and just being more educated. I felt like I needed to go through those steps previously to prepare me for what I'm building today.
And so with everything you've already learned, what are some of the new struggles you're having now?
So the new struggles I'm currently dealing with is more on the, I guess you could say, the financial marketing side. So, for instance, if I sell 3 bundles of hair to a client, I'm going to just throw a number out there for like $200. In my mind, I just made $200. No, that's not how it goes. I had to educate myself on how to reinvest in my business.
Right.
So I had to learn how to properly dictate my finances and count my overhead and count my supplies and how to put back into the inventory in order to make sure I always have hair on hand, and how to accumulate, money for taxes, because now I have a business, so I have to pay taxes. And I have shipping costs, and I have marketing expenses, and all different type of fees now. And so, no, you don't have $200. You sold some hair for $200. Okay, you gotta put at least 100 of that back into the inventory. You need to put at least 50 of that into your taxes, your marketing, your packaging that went into shipping the product or packaging the product up to be shipped. So once I sold those bundles for $200, I made an $80 profit, if that, probably less than that. So just learning to properly manage my money now, keeping my personal money separate from my business money, and marketing is the hardest part. I'm going to tell you, trying to promote this business now. I feel like I'm okay at it. I can always be better. So I'm constantly studying, watching videos, reading articles on how to properly market myself. But that is one of the biggest challenges today. Just trying to get my company and my brand in front of the right eyes, to attract the right attention to my website, to make people want to come to my website, to want to make a purchase, or to want to get a custom unit made from me. So knowing what the audience wants is really hard. But I'm trying to follow the right people that's doing the thing that I'm trying to do. The ones that are successful, getting all these hundreds and hundreds of orders and making these $10,000 profits, and I'm trying to get there. So it's definitely a struggle, but it's a learning curve at the same time.
Now, how do you balance still working your 9 to 5 as well as really put in, as you say, 100% into RSG hair and having a personal life?
Yeah. It's only 24 hours in a day. And about 10 of them hours, is dedicated to my full-time job because it takes me an hour to get to work. I'm there for 8 hours, and it takes me an hour to get home. So that's most of my day there. By the time I get home, the normal person would come home, make dinner, relax, watch a TV show, check some emails, take a shower, go to bed. In the life of an entrepreneur who's trying to make it, you work them 10 hours, you come home, you still have to feed yourself. So you got to figure out what you're going to eat for dinner. Then you got to sit down and you got to strategize for your business. So recently I came up with a strategy plan of how to map out my week. So I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm working on, and I'm not just stagnant. So I'll come home one day and I'll do marketing research. I'll try to figure out new ways to promote and market my business. Then I'll come home another day and I'll practice some skills on, a new hairstyle that I'm trying to do, or a new braiding technique, or a new cut that I'm trying to learn. Or I'll come home another day and I'll make a wig if I have a wig order. I have to make time for my orders, or if I have an online order, I have to fulfill some orders. So each day is something different that needs to be done. It's never a dull moment. And by the time it's all said and done, I'm back in the bed by 10:30, 11 o'clock, trying to prepare for the next work day. So it's hard, but you have to work hard and you have to put in the time and be dedicated if you want to succeed. And it's not always easy. And you're not always going to have the motivation to want to do it. So you got to stay focused. You got to constantly find inspiration in what it is that you're doing in order to keep pushing. So every day is something different that needs to be done to promote yourself, because you got to remember, it's always somebody out there that want it just as bad as you, or want it more. And while you probably sitting at home on the couch watching Netflix for 2 hours, is somebody that's posting, getting that traction to their site or to their Instagram page. It's somebody getting orders and filling orders. So there's always somebody out there hungrier than you. So you just got to make sure that you're keeping up with the competition.
That's awesome. I love it. So on those times where you have to find that motivation, what's your mantra? So
I try to always tell myself, so I don't forget while I'm doing this, but failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed in this business is strong enough. And I just try to stay motivated and determined in what it is that I'm working on, and I'm going to succeed one way or another. Somebody going to hear about me, you going to see my face, my name, right. You going to know who RSG here is at the end of the day, if I got anything to do with it.
Oh, I love that. Okay, well, on that note, what's all your social media and your website, and how can people find you?
Absolutely. You guys can all come and check me out. My website is rsghair.com. We have all of your hair extension needs. We also have edge control and eyelashes. And you can catch us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at RSG Hair LLC.
Awesome. I love it. And for anyone else, just please check her out. And also, please like, share, and subscribe this episode. And we will check in with you next week on Women Empowerment Wednesdays. Thank you so much for coming in.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes.